Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah. Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Massenomics podcast. This is the 2-year anniversary podcast. Episode 104. We did not deliver on the McNugget promise. We'll have to do that when
you shaved your beard for the episode.
Yeah, you did shave your beard though.
Yeah, well, that's what we did.
It's just back a little bit since
Yeah.
You should have seen it though when it was completely shaved.
Old baby face over here.
Yep. I was very pretty.
He wasn't the maestro, that's for sure.
Definitely not the maestro.
So we actually haven't been in the studio in like a month, right? Since pre-Arnold.
Like I kind of forgot how this went.
We tried to set the mood in the studio for.
Yeah, we dimmed the lights.
Yeah, we also forgot the lights, and
Tyler's been burning incense down here,
and one camera's not charged, so
it's a real low budget production.
Yeah, so.
We wanted to really do something special for the 2-year anniversary.
2 years, we wanted to make sure we set it way back.
We were kind of trying to go back to what it was like at the beginning.
Back to the roots.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, it's been a busy little bit. I had hopefully you guys dug. Let's see, this would be. I just finished doing it all, so it would be last week's episode was the last of our Arnold rundown ones. You guys haven't even heard that one yet, then?
No, not the newest one.
I just did that like an hour ago.
I did have to. I actually really. So for me, I'm in a unique position in that I'm there and I record video for every single one of them. But you guys are 5 feet away, and 5 feet away in the Arnold means you can't hear anything. So I just was like, oh yeah, they talked to Stan, and there was a lot of smiling and laughing. Don't know a single word that was said. So for me, it is really fun to go back and listen to them and remember what I saw and kind of how it all matches up. But the thing that I had to laugh about is in that setting, because it is so noisy, you have to yell. You have to yell into the mic, and it starts off with you guys. This is Tanner, and it sounds like the thing only I can compare it to is I think it's the first Austin Powers movie. He's like, I can't control the volume of my voice
because it sounds fine in the into the microphone. It records just fine.
Yeah.
So it does sound like we're. I like it the best what you said on there.
Yeah, we have to yell in order to hear for the person we're talking to hear us.
Yeah.
But the mic doesn't need to try that hard. So yeah, it sucks. It is what it is.
It almost sounds like you guys don't have any social skills and don't know how to do
welcome to
yeah.
It is definitely the opposite of one of those interviews where it's just a hang.
Yeah,
where you're just just chilling here.
Because you can't do that because you have to scream for the both of you.
And you're kind of just the nature of it. You have to rush it too. Mm-hmm. You can't just really take your time. And,
it's not just so
it's just this rapid fire yelling.
Yeah, yeah, and there's no room for downtime in that setting. You can't okay, what am I gonna ask?
It has to be constant talking.
Yeah,
because you're just standing there in front of.
That's the deal. Is in this format, if we had, obviously we will. I'm sure in the very near future have half Thor Bjornsson on the actual podcast.
Oh,
I'm sure in my
naturally.
That's kind of what he hinted towards.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
He was like, so do you guys want to hang out? And we were like, listen, we gotta go. But no, yeah,
talk to us after you've won World's Strongest Man.
Yeah, until then. No, we but in that setting, you can be you can mumble around, you can shoot the shit, you can redirect, you can talk to someone else. But when you're standing at the booth and hundreds of people keep stopping and piling up behind you, and everybody starts getting anxious about the crowd, and then your time is up, and it's you got to go fucking fast.
Yeah.
I just went through and listened to those ones today, the second half. I didn't realize like the names that we got. I was rolling through there and I was like, shit. It was
That's
like,
right. We did talk to those people.
Yeah, I was like, 'cause that was like, I think that was like Kaz, the Live Large, and Stacy Burr. That was Jen Thompson, Stan Efferding, fucking who
Ray
else?
Williams,
Ray Williams,
Terry
Hollins,
Thor,
yeah,
Tom Finn, and
Finn.
Tom
That was
Callis
a fucking
and-
shit show, you guys. I if you just listened to last week's episode, we won't get too deep, but I wanted to hear your guys' take on that because that happened, and when you go back and you hear that episode, like you'll know, but that fucking is like the worst time to ever schedule anything at the Arnold.
Yeah.
Like if I was bossing them, I would the next time I'm going to schedule an athlete to do a thing at my booth, it's definitely not Saturday at 1 p.m. Because that's the worst time. That might be the worst time and place in the world.
It's
Right?
got to be
Yes.
up there if it's
Yes.
not.
Right? Like that is ground zero.
Yes.
Like, so that was one of those things where it was like, well, we were kind of hoping we get some pretty cool stuff, and it was just too crazy. Like it was
Yeah.
too packed. It was too loud. And that was the one where everyone was yelling. I was yelling.
Larry Shook's calling me. Right
Oh,
now.
boy.
I'll just put it to silent.
Put it on speaker.
Should I?
Yes.
It's probably about the sound system for the gym.
Larry? What's going on?
What are you doing?
Podcasting with Tommy and Tyler. What are you up to?
Oh, yeah, I'll just call you back in a while.
Oh, shut
What-
up, Larry.
Did you have an update on the stereo?
Well, I took it all apart, but they broke the ears on the switch, and inside there's a plate inside there.
Uh-huh.
They broke one of the ears off on that too, so I don't know.
Do we
I
have...
don't know what the fuck, somebody punched it or but they broke two pieces off of it. You know?
Do we, is it fixable, or do we need to get a new stereo set up?
Well, I'm gonna go take it out to Bricks tomorrow and see if he can get some parts for it. But I'd have to replace like two pieces on it.
All right. Well, yeah, you keep me updated, whatever you think we'll do.
Okay.
I love you, Larry.
See ya. All right, see ya.
All right, guys, this just in. We got an update on the stereo.
The stereo.
Special guest,
Breaking
Larry
news.
Legend.
Yep.
First time Larry Legend's been on.
That's the
been
first
on
guest we've
podcast.
had call in, so I mean, they don't call him the legend for no reason. He breaks ground on everything.
So the stereo at context of that, the stereo was broken at the gym. So it's been
And at that point,
pretty hot topic lately.
that's I mean, borderline not having a gym
Yeah.
at that point. So we got to get that thing under wraps.
Yeah.
I will be. I bet the people at the computer store upstairs though are really,
Yeah, they're
really
like,
excited
"Oh,
about
this is
that.
great.
Though. God, this is awesome.
Did all of those guys finally die like we've been hoping so much?
But anyway, back to the Arnold. So that's that is like an absolute war zone at that time. So I did also go into how we almost abandoned Hathor. We almost missed that deal.
We were this close to so we haven't on the podcast talked about any of those second day guests. So obviously talking to Hathor was awesome. And yeah, what was the snare? We were
So
5
we-
minutes away from walking out
Yeah,
of the
like,
building.
It was
we were-
like exhaustion was
We're
setting
over the
in.
Arnold. It's always that way on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're over it. We went and ate one more round of Polish food. Killed it. And then like, but we like really took our time too. Like we were fucking around and sat around, which we don't normally do. Like normally we eat and bail, but like milled around, and then we wandered over and we're like, oh, let's just go. And so took our time packing our shit up, and then like had we done things the way we normally would have, like in moving, like we would have been blocks and blocks and blocks away for sure
Yeah.
before we got the call. And then we still would have had to run back because we're not gonna like not try.
Yeah.
You know.
With Hathor.
Yeah. But so that was cool. I was pretty stoked to.
We got the call from our SBD contact, and we were like, well, get that stuff back out.
Yep.
That's literally what it was. We had everything packed away. It's like, yeah, we
And
got it.
the SBD booth is in the back.
Yep.
The farthest back, not necessarily the corner, but the very back
It's
wall.
the opposite of where you want it
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
if you want to get there fast.
So we basically ran there because we know, like when Thor goes to a place, it is.
And if the crowd
Crazy.
is already too big, like we were fortunate there was a crowd, but it wasn't a huge crowd. and
It was growing though.
but it was
Yeah.
growing, and it got out of hand by the time we left. So, had it got out of hand and we got there, we probably would have really pissed a lot of people off.
How did it go? Or do you guys remember the when our contact at SBD, we kind of went up to him and Thor was already in line, and we were maybe 10 feet away, but we could see the exchange between he and Thor, and we could tell that Thor was kind of like, well, were these guys in line?
Yeah.
Like
There's
everyone
a line
else?
here, and they're not in that line.
Yeah, so he was kind of wondering what was going on.
Yeah.
Hey, he likes to keep it fair, right?
Yeah, you could tell he was kind of he didn't want people budging in the front of the line.
Yeah. But we tried to be respectful of everyone's time.
Yeah.
That's always the problem in those settings, though, because it's like, what also was weird, like even with Ray Williams, like Ray Williams was there to maybe like 2 people
Yeah.
in line. We whip out cameras and shit, and by the time end of a 6-7 minute segment, there's fucking 70 people standing there.
Yeah.
Well-
and a lot of them are taking pictures of us interviewing them, not waiting to talk to Ray or take
Yeah.
a picture with him. They're just taking a picture of the interview happening, which is weird, I think.
Well, people, when they see that happening, people that don't even necessarily know who that is start asking who that is. I could actually hear it and see it when we were interviewing Stan. There was someone that walked up behind you, and maybe it was maybe you could hear it and told me, but I remember they looked, and the one guy goes like, "Oh, who's that?" And then the other guy said something like, "Oh, it's that bodybuilder that's really strong."
Yeah, he's
too."
like a really strong bodybuilder,
Yeah.
and he was on Shark Tank, and so it's like they had to see what was happening.
Because we were there interviewing him, they were onto the fact
More
that it was
interested, and then
somebody.
I noticed as soon as we packed up, then they wanted to just like talk to him real quick.
But
Yeah,
Stan is a good example of that, where nobody was there when we got
nobody
there.
was there when we started at all. It was literally Stan Everding folding T-shirts.
with his his
partner
someone that works
or
for him.
buddy,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Stan was folding T-shirts, and then
Good to know that Stan folds T-shirts. At his
He
booth,
knows
though.
how to do that.
don't fucking tell my wife that Stan Everding folds T-shirts. But by the time we were done with Stan, there was, what do you suppose, 50 people standing there.
There's
Yeah.
a good sized crowd.
And,
And
then,
then we just leave. We're like, get the fuck out of
and the
here.
guy that works for him or with him was like, "Thanks, fuckers."
Yeah, he really did. Yeah. He was like, "Fucking thanks a lot, guys." Because one,
He
Stan's
just got
not
done
gonna
folding
help
his
us
T-shirts.
Folding T-shirts.
So I think Stan's sending us royalties for the commission that we brought
Actually,
in that day.
I could be wrong, but I think it probably actually does work. Just the scene works out pretty good
Oh,
if
yeah,
we
for
are
sure.
at
Yeah.
your booth.
Yeah.
Because it does just draw a bit of a crowd. It looks like something's happening.
Terry Hollins was a cool one. I don't know if I
That
don't know.
That interview with Terry Hollins was, I think, actually probably my favorite.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Conversation.
I don't know if everyone listening to this knows who Terry Hollins is. Like they might, of course, know who Thor is or Ray Williams is. But
To me, he's just kind of one of those names that's just been around forever. Like I couldn't really even pinpoint like, oh yeah, I remember when he did this event and did this. So
Yeah.
like I don't even know if I could name any examples of things that he's done.
Right.
But I just for some reason feel like he's one of those guys that's always been there in some way or another.
yeah, he's podium at World's Strongest Man twice. I think he's got third place twice. And Fortismus is some strongman organization. I don't even know what it is, but they recently came out with a top 10 strongman ever. Mm-hmm. It was based on major events, placings in major
Finishes.
events ever all time. So whether you think that list is good or not, because it had Kaz like sixth because in his day there wasn't as many events.
Right.
So he didn't have maybe like a total number of points that was
Didn't have as
justify
many
me-
as many
because
chances
he-
to prove himself. That
right,
people do
where,
now.
where Z is very high because he's over so much time. He's competed in so many. But anyways, Terry Hollins was in the top 10 of that because he's competed in so many events and placed highly in so many global events before. So he is a name worth noting, but a really cool guy to interview though.
He was aside from his British accent, which maybe just makes it sound more articulate.
Yeah.
He was just really well spoken, and he covered a lot. Like
It was interesting. Like his answers to
haven't even heard
questions.
that.
And I haven't heard it
Yeah,
yet.
Tommy, right?
My,
Like,
my,
so-
my notes from it were that's the broadest man I've ever seen. Like his bone structure
Yeah.
is completely different than like any human. Like it's just he's so freaking broad.
Yep.
And then his feet were huge too. Like Tyler, what size shoe do you wear?
I wear like a 14 or like a 15. most
Yeah,
of the
that's
time.
pretty
and
big.
like
I bet he's
your
like-
feet looked like just normal sized people
I
feet
bet
Probably
he's
next
like
to his
20
shoes.
or
20,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, like he had some big shoes.
He I just can't I'm trying to find that list to look over too because that was interesting.
I don't know. I'm sure I know it was posted by like strongman motivation at one point in time, but it was probably a month ago, so it's probably hard to dig up.
But yeah, so Terry Hollins is a really good one. That was a jam.
Ray Williams was cool. He talked about himself wearing the Weekend Warrior T-shirt, so I enjoyed that. I mean, it wasn't without coaxing, but
He didn't just bring it up.
As all of the interviews went.
he knew to roll with it once, and he did a really good job of that. So
It's
there'll be a
also
couple funny
hard
clips
sometimes with those things though. Like you have to get them having fun.
Yeah.
And we know, if you notice, if you listen to those, is like we're not good at interviewing people.
Yeah.
As far as like starting and
Stopping
and finishing.
Like, okay, I guess that's it.
Okay,
Thanks.
let's shake hands.
Yeah.
Shake hands. We'll shake hands one more time. Thank you. Let's shake hands one more time.
Picture.
Picture, and then we
And
shake
shake
hands
hands.
one more time.
Yeah.
And thanks. But it was it's a learning experience, I guess. You don't have to be good at it to do it. I guess you just do it.
No, just doing it. And we did though get some pretty high praise from Donnie. He had
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Donnie Thompson. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't even know completely what he meant by it, but he was saying something about the perception of reality versus what's going on, and then the fact that it's lifters interviewing people. Like he thought the whole thing seemed more genuine, and
He had a Facebook comment that I shared on our. This has been since then. That I think this was post that, wasn't it? This is after.
Yeah, I
the
think
Arnold.
it was a few days after.
What was the comment? Something about how we're what the community needs. or
yes,
something
it was
like that.
it was something along those lines.
More than making it was more generous probably than what we actually are.
Oh, yeah.
But I still liked it.
Yeah. Did
Well, we're still in a league of our own, though. No one else is really doing this, so we just by default
true.
will take that trophy.
Jen Thompson was another one. She had been wearing the Weekend Warrior too, so she made a couple comments about that, and that was cool. That was another one. It was like the Blaine Sumner one last year, where I had to go up to her when she was sitting and watching an event and like see if that was okay. So I was kind of worried about that they were going to be interrupting her, but she was really nice, of course.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And then we didn't.
let's be real. Are you gonna be like is Jen Thompson gonna be like? I wouldn't have pictured it going otherwise.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like fuck you, man.
Yeah,
Get the fuck up
exactly.
out of my
right.
face. I'm trying to watch this shit.
Right.
And if she was like that, I'd be like, well, that's pretty cool too. I was not expecting that.
That's a
really
story
aggressive.
too. Yeah.
And then I don't think we discussed either how we got to go in the cage with Milanichev in a really low
we
key.
did.
Yeah, we did not
And
talk
so,
about that at all.
so this was what day was that? Was that
This
Sunday
was
or Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
So things are kind of winding down. It was before the doors to the Arnold had really opened, so really empty, not many people in there. And we walk by the cage, and there's Milanichev and this woman in there, and
Only two.
Milanichev has his black animal singlet on, his yellow animal shirt, and just looking like Milanichev. And he's like warming up for squats, and we're just like standing there from afar, like, oh, is it safe to talk to him? And the idea was, maybe we should try to interview him. Like, is this?
So we went and talked to the guy from from Animal, who kind of runs the booth there, and thanks to him for
natural guy
one
on Instagram.
Thanks to him for
Eric Schwartz.
letting us in there and letting us do the deal. But so we kind of went up to him, which he's also really fucking busy selling shit there.
He was really
there's
busy.
There's like pallets and pallets and pallets of
And
shit.
He was literally, as I was trying to get to him, having like an important conversation like with one of the other
and
employees.
all we really wanted to know was, does this dude speak English?
Yeah.
So, but you don't want to interrupt something. That's,
Yeah.
So finally, we got we were like, does Milanichev speak English? And he goes, not very well.
But you guys are welcome to go.
You can go see, and you can like, I think that was his girlfriend or wife or something. Like she translates for him, but he's like, she's also not very good at it either. And it's like, well, there's no. Have you ever heard like interviews, like even podcast interviews that go through?
It's just like transactional.
It
It's
is
not even
so
like
the worst, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so we just knew it wasn't. Nothing was going to happen.
Well, Tommy, what happened when you and I went up to him? Even
so then we go in the cage, and he's actually trying to do a squat workout,
Just a regular workout,
He's trying to get his workout in. So he has, I think he had just the bar, and it's surprising that
He did just the bar
a
for,
guy
like,
that
how many
a
sets?
guy that squats, what's he squatted like 1,100 or high thousands with reps several
under
times.
1,100, yeah.
He warms up with just the bar for he probably did about 5 sets of 10 just and moved it just fine.
Yeah.
And like, so that's cool to see that too. But
I can't move the bar just fine. You know what I mean? Like, I need
that's
some
apparently
weight
what he's doing.
I need
Is
some weight to put me in a place.
Yeah.
And so he's doing that, and so we're kind of standing afar just watching him. Like there's a few people in the area kind of watching him, like, oh, let's see what's on display here. And then I'm like, well, let's go ask him if we can take some pictures.
Yeah.
So I go over, I'm like, Andre, and I go out to shake his hand, and he just kind of puts his hand out.
And he
I'm
makes
like,
this look on his face.
like, don't say anything to me because I don't know what to say to you. And I'm like, can I take some pictures? And he just looks at me and smiles and nods his head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, kind of do the picture thing with my hands.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. Gives the thumbs up, and we walk away. And we're like, it's a really good thing we didn't try to interview.
Yes.
There,
Yeah, and then in the process of taking pictures while he was warming up, did you still feel like maybe he didn't understand and didn't want you taking pictures?
I did just a couple, and I'm like, we'll move on from here.
Because I got some video of him just squatting, just kind of some moving shots of him, and then and Megan took a couple pictures, and Megan has this funny, like, I'll have to find
selfie.
it. It's a selfie of her, like, in the cage, like, just like doing the white girl thing. Get in the cage, look at me. And then in the background is Milanichev with the bar on his back, looking over, staring right at her, just like stone cold. Like,
That's funny.
And then one of the more interesting things about that is when you got closer and looked at his footwear choice, it was
you could see his feet through the holes in the sides of his shoes.
there was actually toes that were not in the shoe.
Yeah, like his small toe or maybe his second
outside
toe
of
was
the shoe.
yeah.
he has. It's not the Sabo or Sabo deadlift shoes. It's like those. It's like the metal shoes, or I don't even know what brand they are, but they've been used heavily for maybe a decade or more now.
Would you say they are? How close are Shane's lifting shoes?
Oh, Shane has
to
a
what
lot of
those
years
are?
to get to that point.
That's what I mean. Like Shane, that's the only
Shane's got
comparison.
some rough ones, but then Milanichev, I'm like, and Shane's gonna see those shoes of Milanichev's and be like,
Oh, mine
I'm
are good forever.
Yeah. No, he literally had toe, and not like a sock sticking out. Like he didn't have socks on, so he had toes hanging out of his shoes.
Yeah.
So
Also, couldn't figure out why. At some point, he took off his shoes, and then his really ratty jacket, and
It was an old white jacket
Said
that
Russia.
said Russia across it. It was a white jacket at one point in time, but it's kind
it
of
was
like
very khaki colored. now.
yeah.
But then and it was just he just like weighed his shoes and jacket
Yeah.
on a scale.
oh yeah, I missed
Yeah.
that.
I couldn't for
you
the
pointed
life
that
of me
out.
figure that out, but whatever. And also, I'm like, you're a super like you ain't never cut no weight.
No, I don't know what that was for.
But no, that was pretty sweet, and yeah. But that was our the cage stuff, and that's kind of most of the
Do we
interviews.
want to talk about your beard?
Maestro.
Excitement and all?
Did we do that?
Well,
Did we talk about it?
Because that would have been on Saturday or
Oh
Sunday.
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. So somewhere in the process, we got a hi dog. Wait, Fletch, go away. We somewhere in the process, I got given 2 different times some sort of beard balm.
Just
And
walking through the
just
crowd,
walking
right?
through the crowd. And the second time, I was like, "You already gave me this." And they're like, "Oh, well, let me take a picture of your beard." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're doing some contest." So they did, and I ended up winning this contest on the deal. So I got to go get my some free shit from Maestro's Beard Care. And
Maestro Classic. I believe
Maestro's
is what it's
Classic,
called.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
And the cool part was then you got to get like a professional beard trimming from a barber.
From a famous YouTube barber.
Apparently, you can be a famous YouTube barber. And the dude is, I think on Instagram, he's like David Fit Barber or something like that. He's got like fucking 30 or 40,000 followers on YouTube and like 80,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. And Instagram, he's like 40,000 followers. And I'm like, what in the fuck? Like, we're trying really hard, guys, and we do not have 80,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
He's like sponsored by Clippers companies and shit. Like, anyway, touched up the beard, did a tremendous job. I got some ill-fitting clothes, and then I came home and shaved the beard.
You're like, yep, well, it's going off.
Well, no, it had gotten to a point. There's a length with my beard where it does get to a point in which it's got to go. because otherwise it's like another 6 months of getting longer before it's manageable. Because it just gets out.
Yeah.
So it was there, so I knew I was going to probably tighten it up when I came back, and I just lopped it off. But so all that.
Now you're the maestro.
Now I'm the maestro. So
It's the circle of life.
yeah. I won't get into any of the
of being the maestro.
any of the allegations around the maestro or anything like that.
You could probably Google that if you want.
Yeah, you could probably just Google it. But but yeah, so I got probably the most famous barber in the fucking world touch my beard, and then how did I reward it? By
getting rid of it.
Destroying that masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a bit now, so we're all done with the Arnold. We flew home amidst an absolute fucking blizzard. Somehow we're allowed to take off and land. So we made it. We rested. We didn't do anything. You guys had a powerlifting meet then a week later.
A week later, yeah.
Which was at this point a week
A week
ago.
ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about how
How'd
all
you
that,
do?
Tommy.
So it was the national championships, and I won it. So
So
it's pretty
national
big-
champion.
National champion, Thomas DeFay.
You could probably Google that.
Yeah.
too.
No, it was the South Dakota State Powerlifting Championships. The meet is run by former podcast guest and world champion bench presser Jonah Leo.
If you want to hear him, go back to episode 30 something, maybe 39, something like that.
We did that many episodes before we had it. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't
think
have guessed
'cause
that either.
I think Nick was like 30. Nick was our first.
Was Nick the first? No,
No,
Jonah.
wait,
Jonah
oh,
was. Yeah, 'cause
okay.
we did in the summer.
Oh yeah, you're right. Then
I
it
think
must have been
Jo- I think
20
Jonah
something.
might have been like in the
like
teens
22
or
or
20,
yeah. Okay, because Nick was like 30.
Yeah.
And so it was before. Yeah.
Sweet, yeah. So, so he puts on the meet, and first of all, like he does an amazing job with it. Going to the Arnold, we get to see a glimpse of like probably 5 different powerlifting meets going on. A mixture of most of them are USAPL meets, but I think there's like an XPC deadlift thing or something there too. But it's a really, really well run meet. Like the production value and everything is top notch. Like last year, we talked about the same thing. We talked about how the meet was good, and this year it was only an improvement on last year. The meet was bigger. I think they had 110 lifters, so with that they had 2 platforms. Everything ran really smooth. Like
There was a ton of people there watching.
and then so yeah, that's
Ton.
That's
Like I was shocked by that.
when we talked to Jonah. I think he said he'd had over 500 people pay admission to get in, which
Yeah.
a powerlifting meet attracting 500 people. Like I can't imagine there's many meets in the country that attract a crowd like that.
No, we even at the Arnold. Granted, the Arnold is separated into these mini separate things all over the place, even within powerlifting.
I think that Rogue stage only has seating for like 500 or 600.
Yeah, so like the amount of people that were there watching, like we were watching the bench, when we were sitting there that day, there might have been more people than that. Like,
Oh yeah, it was.
At-
To me, it felt like. Well, and the thing that's tricky at the Arnold too is, at any one event, I don't think there's a lot of people that are there for the whole event. Like I think there's a lot of people that kind of are like us that are like, oh, there's something going on here. Let's drop in, see if I know any of the names, any big lifts are going on.
Yeah,
I think
you
a
can-
lot
you
of people
can
kind
gauge like, all right, there's
Yeah.
a big lift probably gonna happen within about 20. I'll wait for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if you're like it's too far off, you just
Yeah.
move on.
But yeah, with
these
this
were
thing-
all just people that came to Usapl, so there was nothing else to do there. So
Yeah. So these people were straight up there to just spectate, watch, enjoy, support, all that good stuff. And first of all, Massenomics showed up big time. Like we had, what do we have? Like 8 guys,
8
kind
lifters,
of, with the Massenomics,
and then even a couple more that got adopted throughout the day, so we were up to like 10 by the time.
I mean, we basically occupied a flight of our own flight. Like there was a few other people in it, but it wasn't unusual for Massenomics to go back to back to back to back
Like
to back,
5,
like
6 in a row.
Yeah, so it's like while you're getting ready, like one of the guys from the gym is out there, and then there's another one right in front of you, and so it just makes it fun because it's about as close as you can get to feeling like you're with the homies, lifting in the gym, going for some big lifts.
It was like what Gino said it last year, and he said it again this year. Massenomics is in the house.
And he was not wrong. So that was also another really cool part of this meet is Gino announced it again. He knows how to keep the energy levels up and going throughout the whole thing.
How does he do that?
I don't think anyone knows that answer. I mean, I don't know how anyone could do that.
What if you don't have Gino?
It's not as cool.
It's not as cool. It's still a really
Yeah.
good
It's a
meat. I mean,
good
it's
looking
still
meat, but
yeah.
like, how does it? Like, that's my thing. Is like after if you see Gino announce it, like even at the Arnold when they had Gino was in on the main stage, so then where the USAPL stuff was going on in the convention hall, like was not Gino,
Right, and then it's kind of like,
you're like, what the fuck is this?
be better if Gino was here.
Sure would be.
Yeah. The 2 stages thing, he does an awesome job with that. Like, he's announcing both at the same time, and you know, it'd be nice if it was always like, okay, this one's going, it's a break, now this one's going.
and it
forth.
does work out that way a surprising amount of the time.
Yeah, but it can't always.
Yeah.
And it is, sometimes it is hard to know, like, oh, what's going on? Or, you know, what was cool about last year with only one stage is he is so dedicated to that. Like, as you're walking out, he's looking at you, talking about you.
Slapping you in the
Yeah,
ass.
yeah, and stuff like that. And that does happen sometimes even with 2 stages, but every once in a while, some of the lifters, you know, just because it has to be like that with 2 stages, they get a little lost in the shuffle.
And I can say as a lifter, you don't notice that part at
Yeah,
all.
that's right.
You're just going on with your day. But I guess getting into maybe the lifting part of it, you know, we had warm-up room, tons of area to warm up. Like, there was not an issue with, like, having a platform to get going.
6 ER combo racks.
6 CR combo racks.
Identical.
Just for warming up. So that was really nice. And, again, because we're all on the same flight, you're warming up with all the guys from the gym. The day starting off with squats. So it's me, Ryan, Larry, Nick, Dave, Jake. Austin kind of got in the mix as kind of a new guy. Matt was there.
Yeah.
And so we kind of all had, you know, this warm up together and go out for squats. And one thing, I've never had this happen to me, a little not a big issue, but caught me off guard a little bit, is I went out earlier in the day. When you get there right away, you get your rack heights in. And I had these Adidas shoes that have a decent sized sole to them. And I don't know if it's like in the morning, like you're just tall because you woke up, you had your vertebrae haven't compressed, and I got my heights to like, yep, this is where my heights are. And then you start actually squatting 2.5, 3 hours later, and I have shoes that are about as flat as possible. And I don't know if just like putting the bar on your back shrinks you down 1/4 of an inch. And I went out for that first squat, and immediately I'm like, this bar is way too high. Like, I'm having trouble. I have a fairly low bar, and it was up pretty high. Got it down, did my squat, opener 501, felt pretty good. And I'm like, I got to switch that. And luckily you can switch. I had no idea, like, if that was a thing, like if with USAPL, are they like strict that, nope, you're pinned, you're locked in. But I got that switch. And then, so yeah, going out next 2 attempts, I think it was like 530. Tanner was right there.
529.
Oh, yeah, 520. Yeah, and you were right there, like, called up. I'm like, that felt really good. You're like, go for 540. And so that was a 10-pound PR. And I mean, that felt really good. I think there was
probably
more there.
10 more pounds there.
Yeah,
still,
I think
on that day.
Yeah, I think
like if you had a 4th attempt, I think you probably could have went and done 550.
I would have went for 5. Yeah, it was out of the thing. So it's nice to know that that's probably in the tank there. Like, you know, in some, if not right now, very, very soon. So
yeah.
That really made it a lot easier, because my goal for the day was to hit 1400. And when you start off with a 540 squat, that gives you a lot more leeway to try and get there. Like, as of a month ago, I'm thinking like 1400, I'm going to have to go basically 9 for 9 and have a really, really good day. But like I said, when you have that 540, it gives you a little more wiggle room. And I think everyone, like, squats went pretty good for everyone.
Larry hit an all-time sleeve PR, like a 12-pound PR, and he had more in him too, because I helped him. I called that for him. He didn't want to pick that last one, and I said, well, you've done 551 in competition, and you just did 545, and it looked like there was no weight on your back. So try, like, I think it's 563 is what he did. He probably could have done like I don't know what the number is, but like 575.
That's fucking a big fucking squat. That's such a big squat.
At
for
220 pounds.
Yeah.
Did he even weigh 220?
No, at like 215.
Yeah.
He could have squatted 570. I mean, he did squat 565, which that's a damn good squat, and it looked good too. You know, a couple other guys, Nick squatted 530. I think he said he cut weight, and he feels like that cost him a little bit. You know, that's a little less than what he'd been putting up in the gym. Chuck, his first meet ever, squatted 557.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Not bad for your first meet.
Seems like a good starting point.
A modest starting point.
He said he's kind of hooked after that.
Chuck was having a good time.
You know, Corey in the same boat as Nick. What they did a really good job of is they adjusted. Maybe they weren't feeling like their day was perfect. They weren't going to hit that exact PR, and I'd say Ryan, your brother, was in the same category. So they did a really good job of adjusting those attempts, like after their
to
first.
put in a good meet.
Yeah,
as
so they could
opposed
still
to stabbing for the PR.
Right,
Yeah.
so they
Corey-
still could do the best they could that day.
Yeah, and Corey kind of had a curveball thrown his way with his first one because didn't he like lose his balance?
He
or
almost
something?
fell over,
Yeah.
and he got a red light. And he was on the way up, and he lost his balance and fell back.
Okay.
Like fell back, and they had to catch him. And I was like, that was moving up really good. Don't retry that. Just
Go
do
higher.
whatever you're.
Which
gonna
is
do on
always
your
scary
second.
on your first like squats.
Because he was
first
wondering
lift of
about
the day.
because he
Like,
didn't know about it, and I was like, it'll waste. Don't. You're like that was going just fine. It was just a really weird thing that I've never seen happen before.
And he doesn't like make mistakes.
No,
with
not
lifts.
never.
He's about as technical of a lifter as we have.
Right. So he just took kind of a second, like whatever he was going to, and he got it, but it was a little tough. So he did a really good job drawing back just 10 pounds, probably 10 pounds later than what he wanted to get. He did 501 in the gym. He probably wanted to hit, 505 to 510, and it didn't really look like it was there. So he said he went with 496, and that ended up being the perfect weight, like any more, and he probably wouldn't have got it. So that takes some control or like some self-awareness.
You have to have your ego out of it.
Yeah, you have to check your ego because then he got it, and it saved his total. He had a 1405
we tied.
Yeah, and that was his goal too, is to break 1400. Had he not done that, not made that smart decision, he would have not gotten that total at the end of the day.
Yep.
And I think Ryan did the same thing. Ryan had squatted 520 in the gym, maybe 3-4 weeks before. So he's probably thinking, I'd really like to squat maybe 530 if I'm feeling good that day.
Yep.
They didn't move like he would have liked them to. He adjusted that and did 518.
It was right in there, right around 520.
Yeah.
Whatever that kilo
Yeah.
jump is there. But yeah, so squats, like for the first attempts or for the first lift of the day, I think everyone got done with squats like this is going really good. This is a fun meet. And that was immediately obvious. It's like this is a really fun meet. Like we were all having a good time. And
it was really cool with all you guys being in the same right clump together like that. It's probably pretty rare for that many of one group to be in the same flights like that. It was really cool.
Yep. So then after that, we started to get warmed up for bench, and same thing, bench. We just kind of take our time, get going, go out there. First attempt for me was 312, or I can never remember what the kilo mark is in there.
Yeah, it must have been that.
Or 308 maybe.
I think it was you did 308 on your first one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I did that one. Felt really, really good. Second attempt, I did 325. Same thing, felt really good. And
Which
I'm
is
like,
a PR for you.
Meet PR, yeah. So yeah, last year I hit 319.
Yeah.
In training, I hit a good solid 335 pause bench, and I'm like, I know 335's there. I kind of want to get a pause PR. It's like, let's go for 340. I want to get a PR today. I want another PR, and went out there, and the 340 it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I just made the wrong call, but it's also nice to kind of just see like, hey, what was there,
Yeah, right.
So ended the day on 325 for bench. Everyone else, though, had, again, pretty good benches across the board.
Yeah, Larry went for an all-time bench PR at 385 on his third, and he was close. He's gotten 380 in a meet before, so after his second...
And he's done 385 in the gym.
In the gym, yeah. An all-time meet PR, 385 would have been, because he's done 380 in the same meet either last year or the year before. And after his second, he did, I think, 374, the one step below that, and it moved pretty decent. The right call probably would have been to go to 380, but he kind of had the point. He's like, I've done 380 before. If I get it, I don't care about getting 380 again. I want to do the next one higher than that, and that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's what his goal was, and it was close, but he couldn't quite get it. But that would have been a damn big bench there again at 215 pounds, doing a 385 pause bench.
Yeah,
would have been pretty sick.
And at what age?
41, 42,
like,
yeah.
That's
basically hitting all-time PRs.
Yeah, Ryan hit a meet PR of 270. Chuck hit a state record bench of like 385, 386.
And that was on his third attempt, right?
Yep, that was on his third. That was his goal. I know he wanted
and that was a pretty good call for him.
That was a good number.
Yep.
Does that match his gym number too? Or was he
He's
over-
done 4
was he
plates.
over
Yeah,
in the
he's
four?
done
gym,
4 plates in the gym.
The pause has been a little bit of a, he even talked about that, how, man, that pause really takes a lot out of you.
It
So
does.
it's been an adjustment for
It does. It pause, and for me, I'm sure other people have this problem too. But on meet day, after squats and then going into bench, I put a decent amount of arch, nothing too crazy. But when I arch hard like I normally want to after squats, my back is so tight, and and it's not like the whole side of my back is tight. It's just like I have knots all up and down my erectors,
Yeah.
and that's always the issue with me on meet day is like keeping that bench tightness like I'm used to, and it's hard to do it.
Anyone that's done a meet before, the variable of doing all of those lifts, all 9 lifts on the same day, can change a lot of things versus whatever happened in the gym.
And that was
When
the
you
thing,
get
like in the gym going up to this, I had my touch and go PR of 350, and that felt pretty fast still. Like I had a good pause 335, like taking commands from someone, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm prepped for like a really good PR, and that just shows like it is hard until you're there on the day. You don't know what can happen.
Yeah. Another one I forgot to mention, Jake the Snake did it, and he had it the day before. He got kind of a freak accident, like a pretty severe laceration.
He was
on his
testing.
hand.
He was testing. I think it was one of his classes.
Yeah,
they were
vertical
testing their
jump.
vertical jump, and on his way down, his hand caught like the knob that locks in the height on it or something. And either way, is coming down from the jump, his hand caught something, and it cut his palm open, and he had to get like 8 or 9 stitches in it. And he's thinking like, well, there goes the meat. And then he said he was kind of playing around with it, and he's like, well, with squat, I can get in a position where it's not too bad. He said bench was really like, because it was pretty much where you want to put the bar. And so I think
got to deal with it.
yeah, they did allow him to put a little bit of padding in it, like that was legal.
Yeah.
I think he did have to take a little bit off of that from what he normally does.
I think all in all, it probably had an effect on him for the day.
Yes,
because,
yes. No, I'm saying I think his bench was lower than what it normally is on meet day.
Yeah, he did adjust accordingly on that.
Yeah, but he did. I mean, he started the day with a squat PR. He said that was a PR for him.
530.
Yeah, so that's good to have under those conditions.
Yeah, for sure. What would have got me is deadlifting, I think. But he said it was low enough in his palm
to where it was more of a problem to bench.
Yeah, because whereas really the deadlift was sitting there.
Yeah,
so it really
and
wasn't
he hook
bothering
grips
it.
too,
Yeah.
so it really does, I think, kind of get out of the way for him. But
Yeah. So bench, all in all, went really well. One other note, there was a guy that he just missed the 205-pound weight class, so he weighed like 205.5 pounds. He squatted 640 in a pair of knee sleeves, and he could have squatted a lot more than that.
yeah,
Like he could have squatted 675 at 205 pounds body weight. And I asked him about him missing weight because he missed it by half a pound. He said, I've been cutting for 30 days, and I did not have another half a pound to lose.
Yeah.
He's like, when I got on the scale, he was talking about how shredded he was, and he's like, there was no other half pound to be lost anywhere. Like that was it. And he said he's done going for that weight class because he just can't do it anymore.
yeah. And you would think at that, like on full feed, full hydration, like if high sixes is there, like maybe you can make around at 7. Like that'd be really cool to see.
Yes.
I'd be more jacked to see that than
That was just a cool lift. I thought I'd point, at that body weight, that's
is
pretty impressive.
one of the bigger lifts of the day, I think, too.
Yeah.
Then finally we go into deadlifts, and some of the guys, deadlifts an interesting time because some of the guys, they almost look forward to this all day, and other the guys are like, well, okay,
my
can
day's
we
over.
just get this? Yeah, let's just get this over with as soon as possible.
Larry's like, we can just fucking go home now. And Ryan's like, this
Finally,
is what
it started.
I came here to do.
The joke that I always like to say, like to Ryan, and the meet doesn't start until the bar hits the ground.
Yep. Which is true though, because that is where you see and it's just, I'm not a good deadlifter. Like I'm just not a good deadlifter. I'll keep working at it. I'll keep trying to get better. But, you go through the meet and you see all these guys that, they're putting up respectable numbers, but they're squatting like 400s and benching like mid 2s. And all of a sudden it's deadlift time and everyone has 5 plates on. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, why is this a thing?
There's just tons of 600+ pound deadlifts, like from
Yeah.
the 183 pound guys to the super heavyweight guys.
Yeah.
I don't even know the number of 600+ pound deadlifts there were. Probably 50, like, of multiple attempts.
Yeah.
Considering their attempts.
Attempts. It's just like 600 pounds of deadlift. Yeah. Like, oh, you want to be competitive. Like, that's what you got to do. And it's
Yeah.
like, I can't freaking wrap my head around that.
Yeah, like
but,
183 pound guys deadlifting 640 pounds.
yeah.
I mean,
That's just the world we live in.
yeah.
But again, like when it comes to powerlifting, that's where you make up that's where a huge chunk of your total comes from.
Yeah.
So you got to be good at it. But for me with deadlifts, the goal last year I hit 545, which is a pretty good PR for me. I was gonna go for like right in that area on my second attempt, and I was hoping to get 555 ish, depending on how things were feeling on my third. So I think it started at like 515. Felt really good. Go out for 540, my second attempt. In my head, felt pretty good. As far as I know, my first red light I've ever gotten in a deadlift in my life. And it was the head judge. The way I understand it, I got a red light for not having my shoulders back far enough.
Which got called by a lot. I saw a lot of people got called on that.
I guess that's a thing. Like, I totally understand, like, when you have your shoulders hunched over.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a lot of people, like, I think in our flight alone, out of the, 15 lifters in a flight, I think 5 of them or more got called for not having their shoulders back far enough, which seems kind of like
they
little
were
strange,
definitely eyeballing that closely.
Yeah. So there was a big look on that. But the 540 felt okay, but it's like, you know what, let's get 550 and call this a day here.
Yeah.
Went out for 550. Went out there, pulled it from the floor, and right away I felt it shift in my hand just a little bit. But in my head, it's like, yep, we can save this. So going up, I remember my eyes were kind of closing a little bit, and I get to the very top, and I look at the head judge, and he has his arm in the air, and he's just looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, why isn't your arm going down? And it was not even a split second later, the bar just went right out of my hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like about as close as it, and it wasn't like I couldn't lock it out. I think it was maybe because maybe the bar looked like it was about to move or
He's
something.
like, I'm just gonna wait until you drop this, like I'll give you a second.
And that's where it's like meat numbers are tough because like in the gym all day every day, at 550.
Yeah.
I had that one, baby.
Yeah.
Like there's no problem there, but it's like you go to a meet and you never know how things are gonna go. And so it kind of sucked to miss that, but overall I hit my 1405 total. I had a pretty solid day. I can't complain about it at all. Other people's deadlifts.
Ryan, good deadlifter. He went for 639 on his third, and was a little shy of being able to lock it out.
Yeah, he had it well past his knees.
Yeah.
It was an inch from
Just
lockout.
like his deadlift always flies up to the point where it's a few inches above his knees, and then the last, that last little bit is the battle for him, and he couldn't. It just wasn't quite there. It's close. He probably would have got 2 pounds less, but
I probably would have. I'm trying to think. I think Larry and Chuck.
They both missed their thirds. Chuck went for a number that would have given him a 1,500 pound total, and he missed that. So he ended up with like a 1,478 total in his first meet or whatever it was, and that was cool. Larry went for a number. Actually, Larry just went for one step above what he got on a second, because after he got a second, I was like, just do one more than that.
There wasn't much more to be had.
Oh, they're really like he could have maybe considered not doing that third one because his second one was everything he had got that second one. Corey hit a pretty big deadlift.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
In the 205 class, he deadlifted, I think what you missed, their 551.
It was something like either that or 556.
Maybe it was the next one up, yeah. So
which was pretty cool for him because I even know it was about a month ago, kind of, when we're really getting prepped for the meet here. He was fighting with his dad, like he didn't know if he was going to do conventional or sumo, and was kind of going back and forth on it.
He did all his training blocks conventional. At the very end, to do some testing, it just wasn't feeling good. He switched back to sumo like 3 weeks out and ended up hitting a 30-pound PR because he switched to sumo. So, but I believe all that training of the conventional ultimately helped him.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hindrance at all.
Yeah.
If anything, it built more strength. His just technique
Because it's also he's still squatting.
Yes,
so,
a lot.
You know,
For a high frequency. Yeah. So there's I think all in all, total wise, a lot of people missed maybe an attempt or two.
Mm-hmm.
All in all, total wise, though, I think everyone was really happy. It was funny. Larry Legend and Thick Nick, both 231, 105 kilogram masters class guys, and we joke about them competing against each other all the time, like it being a rivalry because they're both so nice. There is no, none of that. But like we just do it for them, like as a joke almost. And they got the exact same total.
Yeah,
identical total.
It's just funny how that goes. Like
Yeah.
it just seems like why. And same thing with me and Corey.
of
like
all the numbers,
yeah,
too.
of all the
Not
numbers,
as big of the numbers are,
Yeah.
to come in at the same one.
and the ways that you get there, like the way
Yeah,
me and
all
Corey
different
got there is pretty different.
Yes.
Like our squat and bench were very different numbers, and deadlift was a little closer, but somehow you end up on the same number. So.
Yep.
I was looking through these. We were talking about this last night, Tommy, but I can't find the deadlift one. But Open Powerlifting has some of their statistics.
The percentage of people.
Yeah, like so the 600 plus pound squatters in competitions, in sleeves only 2.3%.
Of
Of
people
all weight classes,
of
all
weight
men.
classes.
and this is people in the Open Powerlifting database,
Yeah.
which is
Squat
most
over
meets
600.
performed in the last 2 or 3 years are in there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Which
So
is
2.5% over 600 squats.
Yep. That's it.
that is really
there a
rare.
deadlift one? I'd like to see the
one I
percentage
wanted.
of deadlifts.
That's what I was hoping to find. I might
It's got to
go
be
their
higher.
Facebook.
It's got to be way higher
I
than
think
that.
so. The raw bench press. So this is how big of a landmark the 500-pound bench press is. Like
Is it less than 1%?
it is. It is where
Less
we
than
at?
half a percent? Or
1%.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I would also assume in USAPL that number's probably
way lower.
significantly lower.
Because
Like,
the bench
Well-
in USAPL is the lift that you notice the biggest difference from other federations.
and it's also like the strictest one too.
yeah,
with
heels on the ground, head on the bench.
Yep.
You know the
wait,
rules
wait for the
themselves.
start command. Most
The
of their
pa-
places don't have a start.
Some of the
The
pause
pause can be inconsistent.
the pause command at this meet was long on some of them.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying it was the rules and it's all up to the judge, and it wasn't like I'm not complaining about it, but like there was if you were lying to yourself training, like in how telling yourself like, oh, that was a pause.
Oh yeah.
You
were in for.
you were gonna be caught on that there because the pause there was no like, oh yep, that's pause, go ahead.
And
it was,
that's how it is going into every meet. Like
Yeah.
you don't know, like because a pause is a pretty subjective thing to a lot of
Yeah.
people, and so a pause can be like a quick pause, and it can also be like a firm. It stopped. Let's make sure there's no movement. And
Yeah.
now that there's no movement, now we're gonna go. So
That's what it was
There's
like
a lot of
there,
different
too.
levels to it.
I liked it. There was a couple people that walked by Tommy and I at one point, and another time someone else walked by and said, we didn't know who this person was. And they just go, hey, I listened to the podcast. Cool to see you guys. And just kept walking.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like,
We
"Oh,
got
right."
a few of those.
And there's people in the crowd, in this large crowd, wearing Massenomics shirts, like the Weekend Warrior shirt and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool shirt. And it's just people I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That's cool
That
to
was
see.
cool to see.
Bonica was there, and she was repping Massenomics gear.
Bonica Law was wearing her Weekend Warrior lift shirt too. One other funny thing about the meet, Jonah said, I know I listened to you guys' podcast about the meet last year, and you said we said we didn't think it could be outdone of what he did last year, so I had to do this year just to prove you guys wrong.
And he outdid the shit out.
Yeah,
of
it was
actually,
really
and
good.
then there's one thing we left out that was maybe to me one of the best parts of it is the
Beer?
bathroom.
Oh.
The bathroom was from where we warmed up, 15 feet away,
And it was
Really?
like right. You
and
had
it was,
the
and
access
they
to-
were clean all day
and big.
and they were big, and there was a lot of urinals, stalls. Like it wasn't like run down the hall, go
Yeah.
down the stairs, take a turn. Like you could be warming up and literally go to the bathroom. Like take your time
Yeah.
because. It's right there. Like you didn't have to worry about it. So that was really, really cool. to have
They
that.
did have really good concessions and beer though too. Like,
Beer at a powerlifting meet. If you're, it's just, here's what I think.
what else is there to do?
As a spectator, you want to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
It still turns into a long day, but I also think that as an athlete, especially because the deadlift is definitely the most entertaining one to watch.
Yes, we talked about that too.
Yeah, I'd say deadlift, then squat, then bench in that order.
Yeah.
And the problem is the squatting, while it can be exciting, is so early.
Yep, it's early
So
in the day.
so like
and
you're, it's really tough to get
And it's a lot slower too.
Especially get a crowd into it because everybody's not even through their coffee yet.
Yeah.
But by the end of the day, if the beer's flowing, the crowd kind of can get a little get on you, you know, and it's a lot more exciting. So it makes for a good finish.
Yeah. Bench, I think everyone can agree. Bench is my favorite thing. It's like what I think I'm the best at. It's my favorite. It is the worst event of
So
a
boring to
powerlifting.
watch.
It is terrible.
It's boring to
It
watch.
sucks.
It's almost impossible to film or photograph.
Yeah, it's just the
awful.
angle, the angle that it's at. It's tough
The
to
only
really.
way that I think would be cool to get like footage of would be to basically get super distracting to the lifters. You have
Yeah,
to over their
yeah,
face.
yeah.
And like that's about the only angle that you ever see that's worth a damn.
Right.
But it doesn't even tell you whether or not the lift has happened. Either.
yeah.
But, I did just find an open powerlifting that
Of the deadlift?
kind of it's structured a little bit differently. It has what percentage of all time men's raw deadlifts in each range. Okay, so this is as of March of 2018. 25% of the men's raw deadlifts are under 400 pounds.
20% are under 400.
25% of them are under. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
that
A
it's
fourth.
a quarter of them are
Yeah,
under that.
yeah.
But I suppose there's a lot of meets.
First time people,
Yeah.
very light people.
Yeah. So then you have 31% are in the
4 to 5.
4 to 5 range.
That seems like where the majority.
I-
Like,
I would
is
think-
that the largest category?
Then next is with 30%
Okay.
is the 500 to 600 range.
Yeah.
So basically, if you deadlift more than 600 pounds in
Yeah.
a meet, there's
25%.
12% are in that range.
Okay.
And then there's only 2% that are in the 700s, less than 1/4% in the 8, a tiny, tiny fraction, like 1/10% in the 9s, and 1% at 1,000. So
that is way higher than the squat, though, right? Because
Yeah,
we were
yeah, squat
talking
was
2.5% or something.
yeah, so you're talking basically, we'll call it 12, 14, 15, like 16% lift over 1,000 or over 600 pounds.
Yeah.
But you get over 700, and
What
there's
was that? 2 or
2%.
So over 7 is comparable to over 6.
Yeah.
For squat.
For
We were
squat.
kind of talking about that too. Like over 7 for a squat or for a deadlift is, I mean I don't know like using the term elite, I guess, but like that's a big boy number.
You're
no matter
like
who you are.
exclusive.
And
And I
over
think
6
over
with a
6
squat,
on a
I think,
squat
is
is
the
a-
same way.
Is a big boy number. It's just so weird that you see so many numbers way higher than that still out there. You know what I mean? To be like,
but it's
to-
because we're so like
Now with-
saturated
now with
by
Instagram,
Instagram.
it's like-
almost desensitized
Yeah.
to what is normal.
yeah, 1,000-pound squat. I see 1,000-pound squat a week now. Don't you?
But it's because we know all 10 people that, like, that do. You know, we watch closely those 10
but
guys. That
that's
do that,
it's
yeah.
always interesting, you know, and we know a lot of people that, you know, are just really fucking strong. That's crazy
Yeah.
though. When you're talking
Yeah.
about people that are of competitive power lifters,
Yeah, the people that do this.
2%.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so 7, 6, and what did they say? A 500 bench is 1%. So you probably actually want that to be like toned down a little even. So
Yeah.
what would you put? Probably like 450, 460.
In between 450 and 475 is I don't know. You don't see a lot of over 450 benches in competition. Yeah, so probably around the 450 number. Maybe they have that too. Just an open powerlifting plug. Those guys listen to this, so they'll be happy that we're talking about it too.
So this data though, when they like I like the list, the top 10, the sort and stuff.
Yeah.
But like this data, like that we're
Yeah.
just talking
Oh,
about.
those are my favorite
Is
ones.
the fucking absolutely is such a huge service.
Yes. So if you're not following Open Powerlifting, make sure you are on Instagram. They're Open Powerlifting, and then their website is openpowerlifting.org. If you've powerlifted before, type your name in there, search it, check out your stuff.
should be there.
If anything's not there, if anything's incorrect,
Let
get
them
a hold
know.
of them, and they will get it fixed.
Here we go. 700-pound raw deadlift. 1.8% of competitors have deadlifted more than 700 raw.
Yeah.
But why is that different than what I just looked at?
Maybe is it a difference in time, or is it?
It was a month, so
That wouldn't be that big of a
Well,
difference.
and
would
is
it?
that,
Yeah,
all,
but
is that
just-
all competitors or men or?
Oh, that could.
Oh.
If it's all competitors,
This does just
then
say
it would
raw.
do.
It's
then it
basically
would-
going to be cut in half.
Yeah,
because-
yeah,
this does just say raw.
yeah.
so
So that would make sense that the number's lower even.
Yeah. It is 700-pound raw deadlift is more common than a 500-pound raw bench, which sounds about right.
I would believe that. A 500-pound raw bench is not common.
Like if I had to set like numbers that I would like want,
Yeah.
where I feel like a guy my size to be like a strong guy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I feel like I should squat 6, pull 7, and bench 4.5 for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say the number isn't 5 for bench because that
5
is fucking crazy. I mean,
Five-
there's people out there that do it,
but
but it's not comparable to the 7 deadlift and 6 squat that you said.
I think the 500 bench is more comparable to like an 800-pound deadlift.
Yes, I agree.
And a 700-pound squat.
Yes, I agree.
But I like those. I like a nice uniform number where it's like 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. If that was the case, though, that would be it would be easy to say that person's best of lift was
For
their bench.
sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If you bench 500 and benching is not your best event, you're Dan Bell.
Yeah, right.
Basically,
Yeah.
or something. You know,
yeah,
like-
you're one of those guys. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Those like that breakdown when they process the information like that is like my favorite.
They're a great resource. They're over 5,000 followers on Instagram now, and still kicking, going strong, gaining momentum.
Yeah.
It's nice to see they're getting a lot of shares from a lot of the. Those
people
lifters
they're
that are up
featuring.
there. They're like, well, yeah, let me share this list.
yeah.
I'm at the top of it. You know?
The other thing too is if you're in there, you can let them know and they'll add your Instagram to
Yes.
anything that's got your name on it, so that you can.
And they're not really making. I mean, we've talked about all this at extent before, but they're not doing it for money or anything. So
Just
we,
for all the women.
however,
We're doing it all for the money.
are doing it for the money.
it's all about the Benjamins is our motto.
And speaking of Benjamins, one way that we get paid. Just kidding. We have no idea. We don't get
haven't
paid.
figured that out
We haven't
yet.
figured out how we get paid. But we think that we get paid if more people listen to the podcast, but that's not the case either.
If more people continue to listen to the podcast, we could eventually maybe get paid.
If all of you fantastic listeners tricked a friend into doing the same thing you do, man, we'd be onto something.
So we do have some iTunes reviews,
Yeah,
though,
I'm
right?
trying to get that up right now. So maybe we could talk about some of the stuff that we do sell too.
Oh
to
yeah.
also
So
make money if
speaking of paying the bills, we sell nude photos of Larry.
as heard on episode 104 for the first time ever.
Known as the legend or audio mechanic.
How did he become the guy fixing the stereo? Also,
He likes stereos and he likes
He is.
speakers.
He's kind of a sound guy.
Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause I was
It's
like,
that's like a
he's an equipment operator.
lesser known fact of Larry is he knows his speakers and sound
Hobbies
things.
include hair care, stereo. But no, hey, go to Massenomics.com. There you're gonna find our store. That's where we've got all our hats, shirts. We got the new hotness is that Huge Life shirt.
Yep, here it
the
is,
Weekend
right here.
Warrior, the lift shirt is still selling like hotcakes, but that
You
Huge
can
Life.
see me through the darkness over
Yeah,
there.
I don't know about this video. To be honest with you.
Looks pretty dark.
Yeah. Whatever. We really phoned this one in as far as YouTube goes. But yeah, the Huge Life one is taken off. You should probably get it. So we want everyone in your gym to have one, but we want you to be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're the guy that shows up with the flyest fucking shirt, like everyone's gonna know that you were the first
whoa.
one to have it. And then tell them to listen to the podcast and tell them to buy all the other stuff too.
Thanks for everyone out there that has been, buying this shirt, our other shirts, all of our stuff. We've noticed,
banners.
the lift banners, very hot item right now, and just in general, we've noticed more things getting bought, and that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
We still don't barely make any money, and we don't have any money to show for it, but at least more
selling
people have
things,
things that say
yeah.
Massenomics on them.
Still, I feel like we're selling some things, and we sell them for more than we buy them for. And I just feel like maybe we should take some of the accounting away from Tanner, because Tanner just keeps telling us that we don't get to have any money yet. My only hope
I
is
know that we sold things.
my only hope is that in like a few years Tanner's gonna surprise us just
Be
because
like,
he knows
yeah.
we're irresponsible. He's like,
Be like,
guys, I've been putting money away this whole time.
I
We're
took the
fucking
money and invested
rich."
it in a very risky fund, but it paid off big time.
I really didn't think you guys can handle it, but now here you go.
He invested in some.
What would
some-
you guys be like then?
Okay.
Thanks.
It's like on Forrest,
Pissed, but I'm happy.
like on Forrest Gump, where he's like, he invested all my money in some fruit company, and it was Apple. He said, we don't have to worry about money no more. And I said, good. It's one less thing.
I do have some reviews here now, too.
All right, let's hear them.
This first one is titled Move Over Barry Manilow.
Oh.
This is from a name you guys might know, Bacon_N_barbells.
Okay.
He said he had tried to leave reviews before, but what he found out is when he had stuff in there that was maybe obscene or vulgar, it was getting screened out.
No shit.
So that's why I think these numbers change a lot of times, and I can't read them. It goes towards the numbers, but you don't get to. They block out, so don't like write penis or.
Well, do it, but just write it like in a way that the computer
like
can't
use
flag it.
asterisks
Send those ones to @Massenomics on Instagram.
Yeah. And he said these guys know what they're doing, embracing powerlifting to all it's worth while not taking it seriously. That's very true.
Which is what it's all about.
These guys are the ones who made you think drinking was cool when you were 10 and saw them hanging out with your brothers. All that aside, my wife prefers we listen to the podcast to get the mood right. Massenomics has improved my marriage and my life on so many levels. From Bacon and Barbells. Big fan.
My man.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
This next one, 5 out of 5 stars from ShakeWeight775 is Mass-tastical. Great podcast. The knowledge these guys provide really helped me gain size with my shake weight lifting sessions and Richard Simmons workout routines. I'm not sure what all the powerlifting stuff is all about, but overall it's very enjoyable to listen to. Nice work, guys. Keep shaking. Olympic weightlifter emoji. Eggplant emoji.
That's good stuff, too.
Okay, this next one is long, but I really like it.
So settle in. Okay, here we go.
This is the last one.
Is that what you tell all the ladies, Tanner?
That's what I say. This one is really long,
but I like
just give it a chance. It's just really thin. Can you afford not to listen? ? Is the title by Nintendotron. Okay. Massenomics gives you all the information you need to know about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Also, they talk about lifting heavy things and pooping. It's a mostly decent podcast. I started listening a couple months ago and have since received a promotion at work and added multiples of pounds to all my lifts. Coincidentally, my dog has not listened to the podcast and last Monday was diagnosed with cancer. Additionally, my wife, also not a Massenomics listener, was diagnosed with diabetes on Tuesday. Yet here I sit, a week later, cancer and diabetes free. I'm not saying listening to Massenomics prevents diabetes and cancer, but I'm also not saying it doesn't. It may be too late for my family, but that's no reason to put yours at risk. Hit subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and force your family, friends, and pets to listen to the podcast with you. It's for their own good. Life doesn't offer the opportunity to be a hero every day. Will you squander yours? As for me, I'm headed over to the Massenomics.com/shop to purchase my wife a Flex Flask. Proper hydration. It's only one of the many weapons we'll be using with our upcoming war against diabetes. And what about the dog, you ask? I think he'll be just fine. You see, we're currently listening to today's podcast as we sit at home on the couch while he recovers from this morning surgery, which was a massive success. That's from Nintendotron.
That's really good.
One
I
word
think
about
I'm actually crying.
yeah. One. I know we're getting late here, but just a quick word about that. I figured out who that was, who wrote that. I was like, God, I gotta know, like, who the hell is that? I did a little look, and it came to me, and that is a person. You know, I probably haven't talked to him in 10+ years. When I was a freshman in high school, this person, he was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And I screwed off in the weight room, and this person as a senior in high school is one of those few people that actually kind of understood about lifting. And like, to me at the time, I probably was like, what is all that stuff that he's doing? Like, why isn't he just doing curls and max out benching? You know, but I just thought it was funny, you know, 15, 20 years ago, he was actually lifting, and haven't talked to him since then, and he stumbled upon the Massenomics podcast.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Left what I would consider to be the best review.
A top-notch review.
Yeah. shots have been fired. I think.
Yeah. Someone outdo that.
I was just
dare
saying,
you.
a new standard.
you guys really brought it this week, and that's awesome.
That wasn't really. When I read that the first time, I was doing that too.
We need to find a way. We need to base it. That needs to get posted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll share that so
So-
everyone can hear that.
Well, I think that's got us for today, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. Go to the store, like everything he said. Protect your family from diabetes. Buy some stuff.
Cancer.
From
The Flex Flask
Massenomics.com.
is the greatest weapon against diabetes. So
Sign up for the newsletter while you're there. We do give you guys heads up on sales, and when new stuff comes out, you guys are the first ones to get dibs. Especially when we do limited edition things, like when banners, those stuff, they come and they go pretty quickly. So when they're in stock, you want to get them. Go to youtube.com/Massenomics. Make sure you click subscribe for super high quality video that's normally higher quality than today's episode. Leave us a review. Facebook, obviously, follow us on Facebook, and make sure you're keeping tabs on us on Instagram. I'm Tyler. You can find me on Instagram at Tyler F. and Stone. That's Tyler EFFIN Stone. Tommy?
you can find me at Tomahawk_D.
And Tanner?
The Massenomics Instagram account at Massenomics.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.